Thank you, Jacob, so much. That's just beautiful. For those of you at home, Jacob's here live with us, and it's absolutely fabulous. So good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society of Bangor. We are coming to you live from 120 Park Street in Bangor, Maine. Our hybrid service is also being broadcast via Zoom, so welcome to all of those in the sanctuary and those on Zoom, which is maybe even more than is here in the sanctuary. We are so happy that you are all here. Special welcome to those of you who are new or here for the first time. If you are on Zoom, look in the participants list for someone that has just asked me next to their name. And they're very happy to do a private chat with you, answer any of your questions, and be sure you feel welcome. For those people here in the sanctuary who might be new, those people who greeted you when you came in are also people who can answer questions for you. So we are going to be able to mingle in the Dorothy Memorial, which is where you came through, after the service, and have a bit of a time together. And those of you on Zoom will have a time to be together in smaller chat rooms if you are interested in doing that. So then you can get to know a few of our members and friends. So you may have noticed I'm not wearing my mask. So I'm pretty excited about it, actually. Council said that though we require anyone within close proximity to each other to be masked if you're over 2, and you've already been checked in, and we already know that you've been vaxxed and boosted or whatever. So you need to continue to wear your masks wherever you are in the building. But they've decided that anyone speaking from the pulpit, or if you are at 14 feet away from the other people in the room, you can take your mask off when you are doing something for the service. So you'll see some of us will stay masked, but some of us will take our masks off. So I'm happy about that. Thank you, Council. Carrie, are you here? Wherever Carrie went, she's probably still in the other room. Anyway, we appreciate it. So this morning we are celebrating both the spring equinox and Women's History Month. We're very blessed to have a variety of people helping me with the service. Sue McKay is going to be my legs down on the floor, so she's going to do stuff on the floor for me. Marcia Jordan is going to do a reading for us, and Marie Tessier, who we are so excited to have. You want to stand up, Marie, so we know who you are? Marie is going to be doing the homily reflection section of it, and it's called Fulfilling the Suffragists' Dream of an Equal Voice. So she'll speak about the way her commitment to UU principles led her on a decade-long journey to understand the role of women's voices in the 21st century, 100 years after the white women earned the right to vote. Women's voices online and in public meetings are still marginalized, even when women have seats at the table. So her book, Digital Suffragists, Women, the Web, and the Future of Democracy, was published by MIT Press last year. And thank you to all the women. Do you have your book? Hold it up. Woohoo! When you're up here, you can hold it up again, and then everybody will see it better when they're on Zoom. So talk to her about her book. I know at least the Martins are reading it, right? Judy posted something on Facebook. So before we head into the rest of the service that has more of a focus on the Women's History Month part of this service, I wanted to take a moment to reflect on the vernal equinox, which is happening today. We are midway. The balance is there, light and dark are balanced. So I have a poem I would like to read. So if everybody would just take a deep breath, just kind of settle in for a moment, and I will read Meditation on the Equinox by Thomas Rhodes. Over our heads, the great wheel of stars shifts. The spring equinox manifests itself, and for one precious instant, darkness and light exist in balanced proportion to one another. Within our minds, the great web of neurons shifts and new consciousness arises. And for one precious instant, experience and meaning exist together as revelation and epiphany. Within our hearts, the great rhythm of our lives shifts, a new way of being reveals itself. And for one precious instant, the nexus of the body and the seat of the soul, truly exist as one. Let us give thanks for those times in our lives when all seems in balance, for those times are rare and precious. The equinox shall pass. The revelation may be forgotten, and our actions will not always reflect our true selves. But through our gratitude, we may remember who we are, reflect on who we may become, and restore the balance which brings equanimity to our lives. Let us be quiet for a moment together. Blessed be. I should have had Jacob play a little something with that moment, but we'll think about that for another time. Oh my, and now we cannot ever forget that we have announcements. So have Ben pull up the announcements on the screen. And so the calendar shows the meetings, and I'm just going to point out that the Social Justice Committee is meeting today at 11:30, and that link is in the e-news, as well as the Worship Committee will be meeting on Wednesday, and you can always check the calendar online to get to notice of other things. Next slide, please. So if you have not already signed up to get Ampion solar energy services, please consider doing so. UUSB will get $200 for each family that signs on through the USB link. So I think that's in the e-news. And then the auction is coming on May the 1st. And if you're like me and you can't believe, here it is March 20th and the spring equinox. I keep saying first, don't I? Thank you. May the 7th. It's actually on your screen as May the 7th. And it should be proved to be another amazing auction. So be ready to get on Zoom and be ready to do your bids. And if you need a proxy, let Sue McKay or someone know that what you want to bid on. So there has been a change in the way we're asking for support for the Ukraine relief for the refugees. Because of the nature of the medical supplies needed, we're suggesting that you donate money instead. Now, if anybody brought medical supplies that were within the list of acceptable things, Valerie Carter is here to accept those from you today. And probably we are not going to have collections on Tuesday or the other days in the e-news. Is that true, Valerie? So get a hold of Valerie if you have anything that you actually physically want to donate, and they'll make sure that it gets where it's hopefully going to go. But donations of money are really the better thing to do. So the links to the organizations that you could donate to are in the e-news. So, and mark your calendars. We do have 3 memorial services coming up for Charlie Boothby, Becky Anderson, and Maria Hautala. There's going to be one in April, one in May, and one in June. So be sure and mark your calendars so we can honor these amazing members of our congregation. Next slide, Ben. Oh, it's time for Connie.
I am Connie. Is this on?
Wait for the mic. Oh, do I have to turn off?
Is it on? Okay. No, I'm not. Hello, everyone. I am Connie McVeigh, and I am part of the UUSB Pledge Committee, Stewardship Committee, and we are going to be navigating through the waves of change. And I'm on a little kayak run right this moment, navigating Kunduskeg as we see the Owens in this. And we are trying to navigate this area of change as we get donations and pledges. And as we know, every year we get people to pledge who are members and friends and let us know what they can pay for this year to help our building, help our programs, help all of our activities that we do at church here to survive and thrive. And so I'm heading around the curve, almost going to hit the shopping cart area. And oh no, still have about 50 more people that need to pledge. But wow, okay, I think I'm going to get around it. And oh yes, I navigated it well. We already have $96,000 pledged. Woohoo! I think we're going to do it. But oh, I think someone forgot about pledging. It's in their spam email or something. So they need to get their email, and on the screen there's some information to send your pledge. If you're a friend or a member, to please let Amy Starkey Land know what you might be able to pledge this year. We know it's tough financially, so we're going to go around another rapid and just breathe and just think about all the wonderful things that this church does for you, for the community, and go deep in your heart and your pocket to make a pledge. And if you can't make a pledge this year and it's just too tight, it's okay. Just ask for a waiver. We're okay with that. Just ask for a waiver. Just let us know so that we don't have to go around the rapid of change and call you and harass you. We don't want that. So thank you so much. And I appreciate everyone. And we're going to get around these rapids. And way to go, UUSB. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Connie. I'm sure if people haven't pledged by now, they are going to do it now, right? So next slide, Ben. And as always, those of you who would like to donate or have pledged for this year, you can do that either by writing a check to UUSB, or you can do it online at our donate button. We also have added on the donate button an opportunity to donate for flowers in the sanctuary. This morning, they've been brought in, those beautiful flowers brought in by Tim and Judy Martin. Thank you. And we have a pledge envelope that if you want to donate to the Easter flowers that'll be coming up in a couple of weeks, that you can put the money in here and put it in the basket, and or your donation for today. Know that half of the undesignated funds that are donated this month will be going to the UU, where did it go? The UU Service Committee Ukraine Refugee Fund. And I think it might just say refuge on the screen. I didn't get that corrected, but refugee fund. Okay. Now, after all that business is finally done, we will have Ben bring up the introit for this morning, the March of the Women.
Shout, shout up with your song, cry with the wind, for the dawn is breaking. March, march, swing you along, white blows our banner and hope is waking. Song with its story, dreams with their glory, though they call and glad is their word. Forward, hark how it swells, thunder of freedom, the voice of the Lord. Comrades, ye who have dared, first in the battle to strive and sorrow, sword spurned, not have ye cared, raising your eyes to a wider morrow, ways that are weary, days that are dreary, toil and pain, by faith ye have borne. Hail, hail, victors ye stand, wearing the wreath that the brave have worn. Life, strife, these two are one, not can ye win, but by faith and daring. On, that ye have done, but for the work of today preparing, firm in reliance, laugh at defiance, laugh in hope, for sure is the end. March, march, many has won, shoulder to shoulder and friend to friend.
For our chalice lighting this morning, I will ask Sue McKay to come up and help with this. Our reading is We Inherit This Free Faith from the Brave and Gentle by Audette Fulbright Folsom. This light we kindle is set in the lamp of our history. We inherit this free faith from the brave and gentle, fierce and outspoken, hearts and minds that have come before us. Let us be worthy inheritors of this faith, and through our good works, pass it boldly to a new generation. Now, this morning, our opening hymn is number 109, As We Go Marching. Please note that singing in the sanctuary still has not been approved, but we highly support humming. So any of you out there humming, you're more than welcome to do that. And those of you at home, sing your hearts out for all of us who can't quite do it yet in the sanctuary. Take it away, Ben. Or Leanne. Have we got Leanne helping back there?
As we go marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens of thousand workshops gray are touched with a radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, as we go marching, marching, we battle to for men, for they are heaven's children, and we mother them again. Our life shall not be spared, from our birth until life closes. Hearts love as well as bodies, give us bread, but give us roses. As we go marching, marching, unnumbered live and dead, go crying through our singing their ancient song of bread. Small art and love and beauty, their drudging spirits do. Yes, it is bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too. As we go marching, marching, we bring the greater days. The rising of the women means the rising of the race. No more the drudge and idle, tend that toil where one reposes, but a sharing of life's glory, bread and roses, bread and roses.
So now we have the story for all ages, and this is a video from YouTube that is going to give us a little history about the women's suffrage movement. Go ahead. Great. I hope that maybe you learned something you didn't already know, and that little taste of history is always a good thing. So now is the time in our service for Candles of Joys and Concerns. I'm going to have Sue McKay again be my legs on the floor down there, and I am going to read from the chat. So I'm going to move this over. Okay, I think that takes care of all of the joys and concerns for the day today. I would like to light one candle for the Ukrainian refugees and all of those who are affected by that unnecessary and useless war. And then, as always, we light one last candle for all of the joys and concerns not spoken but kept close in our hearts, and for all those who do not have a community such as ours in which to share. Now, please sit back and reflect as Jacob plays Spirit of Life. Blessed be. Now, I am very pleased this morning to welcome Marcia Jordan up to do our reading for us. And so Marcia will come forward to do the reading.
Close enough here. You hear me now? How's that? In the struggles we choose for ourselves, in the ways we move forward in our lives and bring our world forward with us, it is right to remember the names of those who gave us strength in this choice of living. It is right to name the power of hard lives well lived. We share a history with those lives. We belong to the same motion. They too were strengthened by what had gone before. They too were drawn on by the vision of what might come to be. Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, have not melted into the dust and have not disappeared. They are with us still. The lives they lived hold us steady. Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We, the living, carry them with us. We are their voices, their hands, and their hearts. We take them with us, and with them, choose the deeper path of living.
Thank you, Marcia. We hope to have her come back and read again soon. Now, please sit back and enjoy this morning's special music.
I was a shy and lonely girl with the heavens in my eyes, and as I walked along the lane, I heard the echoes of her cries I cannot fight. I cannot a warrior be a warrior be. It is my nature and my duty. It is the sisterhood in me.
Can you hear me? I'm just totally amazed at what you're able to accomplish, Molly, that we're just so blessed. All right, now for the part that we have been waiting for, I'm going to invite Marie Tessier to come up and present her thoughts on fulfilling the suffragist dream of an equal voice. And so I will sign off for a moment.
Good morning. I want to thank all of my friends at the Unitarian Universalist Society of Bangor, where I have been a member since the previous millennium. It means so much to have the people I love most in the world, and that includes all of you here and out there, ask me to bring to this pulpit my sincere thoughts and prayers. What an honor to be here in this pulpit on my first return to the building in more than 2 years, and to share my life's work as a matter of spirit, which it most certainly is. I was invited here to talk about my new book from MIT Press, Digital Suffragists, Women, the Web, and the Future of Democracy. Yay me. First, I want to center my talk not on book promotion, but on the spirit that guides me to advocate for women's voices. The answer is that my life's work as a feminist and as a journalist has been a pursuit of justice, democracy, and the inherent worth and dignity of each person. I came to Unitarian Universalism at about age 30, half my life ago, after a childhood growing up in a progressive Catholic church during the Vietnam era. The bishop who confirmed me in the Catholic Church led a life of radical commitment to peace and justice. He was arrested myriad times in anti-war protests during the Vietnam War and in the US wars in Central America. Ultimately, though, I moved away from Catholicism for one clear and obvious reason. There was no desirable place for women's voices in the decisions of the church, or even in private life. Indeed, Catholic women were expected in church and in public life and in private life to take a subservient relationship in adult relationships. I knew there were places where women's voices and leadership were welcome. Bye-bye, Catholics. It did not have to end this way. Little did I know, as a young woman, the role of Unitarian Universalism in the suffrage movement in the United States. I think most people attending this congregation for any length of time know that Unitarian Universalists were integral to the abolition of slavery and the women's suffrage movement. The Beacon Hill Unitarians were a central force in both movements. What many people may not know is that when the 15th Amendment to the Constitution was proposed to grant African American men the right to vote, it set off a power struggle among feminists, white and Black. Advocates were forced to choose between Black men and white women in order to move forward at all. It was a practical but morally false choice that has haunted all of history and haunts us to this day. What most people do not know, and I certainly did not until recent years, was that Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton broke off from the interracial movement for votes to form the National Women's Suffrage Association to advocate for white women first. Yes, they did. They went on a speaking tour with white supremacists who were happy to play the part of being pro-feminist as long as it privileged only white women. Does that sound familiar? The history of women's suffrage is a lot more complicated than many of us have understood all our lives. And I worked for the League of Women Voters, which was a direct outgrowth of the suffrage movement. In fact, the good news is we have an opportunity for a do-over as we build our future work. We have the future to make things right. My own passion for women's voices has always been embedded in my own sense of justice, peace, and democracy. That passion began in a negative cauldron, a deeply patriarchal home. I left home at 17 and never returned for more than a few days at a time. My mother chose to stay with the rage for the rest of her life. Curiously, in the past 30 years, I have built a loving relationship with my father. It's been a true miracle that fills me with hope for every single person. In fact, I just returned from a trip to Michigan with my adult children to see him. I can't say the word miracle enough. He's deeply proud of my book, and he's now a big fan of Nancy Pelosi. Things do change. So my passion for lifting women's voices in public life burns in me at a deeply personal and deeply spiritual level. A life and death level. A level that has inspired me to devote my career to the vision of a better world. It's the suffragist vision that began generations before I was born. I have always understood at some level the way that women's underrepresentation in public life is deeply rooted in personal experience. In 2007, I started working for the New York Times, moderating comments to the opinion pages. One of the first things I noticed was that women just weren't speaking up. What's up with that? There's really nothing between a woman and leaving a comment on a website than a click of a mouse. I've always been assertive, as my friends here will know. So what was really going on? Women, broadly speaking, would comment about health and wellness. They'd comment on on areas considered to be a woman's domain, like education, fashion, or food. But they were not speaking up about climate change, wages, or war. What was going on? I really didn't understand. It was odd. But I started counting comments, and it looked like women were submitting about 25 to 30% of the comments in opinion. For every 3 or 4 men who spoke up on any given article, only 1 woman was raising her voice. I thought, well, that is amazingly similar to the representation that women have in Congress. It's amazingly similar to the representation that women experts have in news stories, in all media. It's better than the representation of women on corporate boards. It's better than the representation that women have in a lot of professions like computer science. But a lot of markers were lining up that aligned with the amount of voice that women were willing to contribute in an open forum. Soon, global data emerged showing that same patterns at news sites in Europe, Australia, and Asia. I applied for a fellowship to study more and propose solutions for the news industry. And what I found, what I really came up with at the end of it all, is that women's voices remain deeply underrepresented in our public life, not just in Congress, not just in the news. 100 years after women earned the right to vote, the voices of women and people of color still remain deeply discounted in every forum where public affairs are discussed. Even when a public forum like a town hall is specifically structured to include 50% women, women's voices and priorities only receive about 1/4 of the speaking time. Think of that. Even when things look equal, women are still outnumbered 3-to-1 where it matters. We are all conditioned to expect women's voices to take up about 1/4 or 1/3 of speaking time. It bears out in public bodies of all kinds. In small group official settings like school boards and city councils, there are only 2 conditions where women's voices take up a proportional amount of speaking time that's proportional to their representation. Women achieve equal speaking time to their male colleagues and equal authority for their ideas when they have a supermajority. In other words, if I'm a member of a city council, my voice will not get as much representation as the next guy until 2/3 of women are seated on that council. Perhaps more interesting is that there's one easy cure, and that is to put a woman in charge of the conversation. Simply having a woman in leadership conveys the authority to women to assert themselves, to raise their voices, and to pursue their policy goals. Just having a woman in leadership is enough to affirm a woman's right to a voice. So women's lack of an equal voice in open settings like news comments is not just about representation in Congress or who's featured as an expert in news. It's about historic gender segregation and exclusion. It's about the exclusion of women from the public square. The British scholar Mary Beard traces the story of women's exclusion to antiquity. She recounts a scene from the Iliad. At one point, Homer is long lost at sea and suitors gather to sing love songs to Penelope. Penelope goes to them and asks them not to sing such sad songs. And her son, Telemachus, tells her to go back upstairs to her weaving. She should pay attention to women's affairs and leave him to decide the affairs of men. This is about who wants to get married to Penelope, so ideas have changed. Mary Beard says that this was the first recorded episode in Western civilization that a woman was told to shut up. As the mother of a son, I have a difficult time envisioning that this dynamic would be effective, but here we are. Bringing women's voices to equality is very much an extension of the fight the suffragists in the United States and Europe fought for more than a century. We have much more to set right. Any woman can tell you about her experiences in the office being interrupted and dismissed. It turns out that there's a profound social power that continues to elevate some voices quietly, structurally, and it discourages women and people of color and disempowers us in every aspect of our lives. The thing that I think is so compelling about the global data I've collected is that it's really a barometer for women's equality in so many ways. We all know about the healthcare research that women and men reporting the same levels of pain are treated differently by doctors. Women are perceived as having less pain, and women are more often referred to psychotherapy to deal with it. For example, We know that until recently, medical research about heart attacks was conducted exclusively on men. Cardiologists knew that heart disease was the leading cause of death for women. They just didn't think they needed to pay attention to why that might be. The really tricky part about all of this is that we are so accustomed to this level of representation that it looks normal to most people. And that's because women and people of color and people from LGBTQ communities are not given as much authority when we speak. Because of the many improvements in women's status, it's a shock to understand that data from many, many fields shows how persistent historic gender segregation continues to operate today. I've come to see that women's voices are stuck in the same way as La Brea woman. She was the hominid who was found in the tar pits in California. We are literally stuck in ancient patterns of communication that are not widely noticed, even when they're right in front of our faces. These fossils of official exclusion of women from the public square have functioned as the new bones of digital technology. The history of exclusion of women's voices literally touches every corner of our lives. And so, what to do? There are so many answers to that question. The basic answer is to start measuring who has speaking time in your councils and offices and private lives. The answer, when you really, really count, may surprise you. Start paying attention to when women are interrupted. Start affirming women's ideas and proposals, and make sure to acknowledge the origins of an idea. Build solutions where you are. In short, you should read my book and apply its lessons throughout your lives. I pray that my words may truly serve the greatest good of all. I pray that we each lift up the inherent worth and dignity of each person and support democratic institutions, as our principles call us to do. So may it be. Amen, and blessed be.
Marie, thank you so much. Am I turned on? Am I on? Okay. Marie, thank you so much. That was just fabulous. We are so lucky to have people in our congregation who have such expertise on topics and they bring them to us in our services. I'm just in awe, and I appreciate that very much. So now we have our closing hymn. We are a gentle, angry people. Again, hum as loud as you can in the sanctuary and sing your hearts out at home.
Gentle and
So I'll ask Sue to come forward again as we extinguish our chalice. As we extinguish our Unitarian Universalist chalice flame this morning of the spring equinox, may we be grateful for those who went before us and those who are working hard now to make sure women's voices are always heard. May our UU values be upheld in all our households and in the world around us as we go out to take what we have learned today and spread that message wherever we go. Seeds that will germinate and grow into beautiful flowers and amazing actions. Blessed be. So please join in as we sing, as we hum our benediction in the sanctuary and sing it at home. You can stand.
Let us go forth into the week ahead, striving to be faithful to our life's journeys, serving the needs of the earth and its inhabitants, sharing in the spirit of love with all we say and do, sharing in the spirit of love with all we say and do, sharing in the spirit of love with all we say and do. Blessed be, blessed be, blessed, blessed be.
That feels good. Oh, we have a few thank yous this morning before we all head out to the coffee hour time. So I want to thank Molly and Jacob for the music. I want to thank Ben and Leanne, who is training back there doing our tech support. Sue and I were your worship associates. Marcia was your reader. And of course, Marie Tessier as our fabulous speaker this morning. Thank you so much. So those of you who are here in the sanctuary are welcome to gather mass in the Dorothy Memorial and visit with each other as you would like. And those of you who want to go into chat rooms on Zoom, you just stay where you are and Ben will open up those chat rooms for 10 minutes so you can visit. Thank you all so much for being here today.